Okay guys, look what we picked up here for the wife. While I'm working on her Jeep trying to finish it up, a friend of mine was going to crush this. This is an old AMC Eagle and it has 76,000 miles on it. Got new tires. It runs. And we're going to go through and fix it up. So, got it licensed and registered and all that good stuff. So, first order of business here was to fix a few of the things like the hoses and stuff, as they're all dry rotted. So, let's pop the hood and show you what we're doing today. Okay, here we are on the inside. You can see this is in really nice shape. I've done some work on it already. So let's get this hood. Maybe. There we go. Okay, got the hood open. Alright, I'm going to set my Mountain Dew down. So, I've already replaced the fuel pump. Then that line was leaking there, so I replaced that. Then it started leaking up here, so I replaced that. A couple of vacuum hoses I've done. This had a misfire, so I did the cap and rotor and all the spark plug wires and the spark plugs. Spark plugs, what did we do with them? Well, spark plugs are sitting around here. They were just a little dark. You could tell it wasn't leaking oil, burning oil or anything. It had just been idled too much, and he confirmed as much. But you see the old AMC diagnostic ports. These are the same as an 88 Cherokee that I had, the old Renix system. And this car is actually computer controlled. So this is kind of a interesting carburetor. It's like a mix between a carburetor and fuel injection. So let's pop off the old breather here. Just set this aside so it's out of the way. And get all these things off here. So pretty complicated carburetor setup. One thing is this little solenoid here. You can see this presses on your idle screw, and this will actually keep the car idling when it's on a strange angle. And tried that out the other day and was actually pretty impressed with it for a carbureted car. So we're just gonna put this back on here so we don't lose it. I already dropped this down the damn carburetor the other day. That was sweet. I think we should spritz this back here with some juice and see if we can get it loosened up. And then you can tell all these vacuum hoses are just nasty, crusty. So we're gonna end up having to replace all that crap. There's the other one to the vapor canister. That one was bad. Fixed that. This one's got to be done. It's all crusty. So let's get after it. Get this carburetor torn off. I'm not going to film that because it's going to be a pain. But needless to say, this video will serve as a good reference for all vacuum hoses and everything go. I'll show you the other side here. This is more for my reference because I haven't done one of these BBDs that's so complicated like this, but you can tell I don't think this thing's ever been off, because look at these connectors on here. Those are like a CV axle band clamp, and they all look untouched to me. So this car runs pretty good, it just won't idle, and so I think the idle circuit is plugged, and you can see why. It's just nasty. So let's get after it. Carburetor's pretty well off here. I'm gonna take this in the shop and rebuild it. That was not fun getting these nuts off the studs here. These things were really stuck on there. But anyway, this is where all our vacuum lines go, and some of these aren't too bad. This one's not cracked. Goes up here to this throttle control solenoid. So let's get this thing off and get her in the shop. Oh, duh. How about we take off this other vacuum line first? How would that be? Right, so I got the top of the carburetor off. It's had these little baffles in here, just kind of sat in there. And then this little hoop, like the older Carter carburetors have. And then I've got to take off the needle and seat assembly so that we can pull the floats. But all in all, this looks fairly clean inside, which is a good sign. Let's take off our emulsion tubes, if I can do this one-handed. Oh man, that's really loose. Wow. Holy cow. Yeah, why is that so loose? Sorry, I'm doing this with the cell phone because it's just a little easier than managing the GoPro, and I think you guys can see a little bit more up close. So I'm just going to set these aside for the moment. That is extremely loose, and I'm not sure what the deal is there. Even the gaskets on this look like they're in pretty good shape, don't they? So yeah, why that was so loose on there, I'll never know. You gotta be careful not to lose that check ball. It's a good possibility we don't have another one in the kit. Look how this is shaped on the bottom here. It's interesting. And then this is actually a multi-piece assembly. There's a gasket in between there. So this is more for my information than yours, but anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and put all these screws back where they go, even though I've got a picture of it. It's just good practice. Got these big long ones that go back in here. And this also keeps them from getting kicked around the shop, you know. Go ahead and grab the wrong one here because I'm filming. And yeah, well, we'll get this needle and seat assembly taken off, and I guess we could pull those main jets. Well, I guess there's no secondaries on this because it's just 2-barrel, but you know what I mean. And then we're going to soak everything in this old chem tool, Berryman B12 chem tool stuff. This is kind of nice because you get a little basket in here. And just put your parts in there and soak them, and then you can close this whole thing up. This is really effective compared to carb cleaner because you can sit there and let it soak, and it actually dissolves all this crap. But man, if you look at this, I have a hard time believing that this carburetor's never been opened up. Looking at these gaskets, there's no way these are from 1985. I mean, look at that. Your metering rods in here, even they're pretty clean. I mean, this car did more sitting than it did driving. Godfrey's, I don't know. Unless I find some sort of a weird obstruction in the jets here, I'm leaning towards that stinking solenoid being bad, or possibly something to do with how those emulsion tubes were so loose. Yeah, I can't get that out. Probably need just a little bit wider screwdriver here. Oh, that one broke free. Real careful here. Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll put in the impact driver because it's got a wide bit on it. See if it'll go in there. Maybe. Nope. Okay, well, we'll find us another screwdriver. Well, I'll bring you back here when I got this torn down a little bit more, but if you, once again, just look inside that bowl, and you look down inside here where the accelerator pump goes and everything, man, it's clean. So we'll see what's hiding underneath the floats, but I'm leaning towards this being the issue all on its own. And if that's the issue, it could be as simple as a vacuum hose. So we shall see. Pop the cap off to the section that controls the accelerator pump and the metering rods, and so you can see this is kind of complicated, and there's a few little parts in here. If you look over down in there, there's a little rubber flapper. I'm hoping that kit has that to replace that, because that controls some vacuum ports. So we'll go ahead and get that taken apart and kind of give you an overview of all these assemblies. I don't really want to set this down on those metering rods, so let's just be really careful here we don't bend those, because you're not going to find them. So this is what we've got. You know, the carburetor outside isn't the cleanest, but inside's what matters, and that's the only sediment I'm seeing in there, which is very minimal. So we could have had a problem with the emulsion tubes, you know, being tight, because these screws were pretty dang loose. I don't know, could have had a gasket leak. This gasket here is kind of pooched, so you can see right here, focus, that thing is really raised up. So, and then if you look at the end of that, it doesn't look fantastic. I don't know, maybe it was sealing, maybe it wasn't, but regardless, we're going to go through it all. And then if she still doesn't run right, then we'll start looking at some other things like vacuum leaks. So let's finish cleaning this thing up and start throwing a new kit in it. Just a quick test for the floats to see that they're floating, which obviously they are. So we know the problem isn't that the floats are not shutting off the needle. Now, we could need to adjust these, and we'll definitely check that adjustment when I open up the carb kit, but you can tell those are just fine. Now, look inside here, there is some crud, but that is extremely minimal. I mean, that's not bad at all. We'll get that cleaned out. I mean, it isn't good, but that's probably just sediment that came up with the fuel, you know, because your fuel tanks at the gas station are filthy. That's where your fuel system contamination comes in. But all in all, not bad. I still need to get that all those jets out of there. I get this spring out too, so we don't end up losing it, and then that check ball. But yeah, let's keep after it. We'll get this all cleaned up. Alright, well, here's all of our parts cleaned up. I even took a little bit of gray Scotch-Brite and polished on everything, rinsed it down. But after I cleaned all the shiz off, look what I find. Oh my goodness. And this idle screw is bent really badly. You see how that thing is cocked sideways? Well, look inside here, if you will. Right there. Try and get this to focus. That's where that needle sticks through. Okay, air compressor kicked off. So, if you look here, I'm going to try and highlight this. See how far that's sticking through? Right there. Well, watch when I run this other one in all the way. Because it's bent so badly, if you'll compare those two, that's not good. You got quite a difference in between those. Now, I could probably try and straighten that out, but, you know, limited success, and then we've still got this situation here, and then throw a carb kit in it and still have to adjust everything. So I think that's it for this carburetor. I think we're going to get us a new carburetor and call it a day. We'll save this one for parts. So stay tuned for the next installment of tuning up the Eagle. Maybe we'll give you a little bit more of a walk around if there's any interest in this. I know there's kind of a cult following in these wagons, so we'll catch you on the flip side, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, well, I lied. The saga is not quite over here. So I had an idea after having a seller on eBay punk me for an offer I made. He offered me a 20-cent discount when I made him a best offer. So I countered that offer with a $2 offer and said, don't waste my time. And I come out here in the garage and I had an idea. So I thought, well, let's find out what the thread pitch is on this, which it's 1032s, or 10-30 seconds, and I was able to take the original focus and thread it down to the bent area and then tap it over with a hammer. Did that a few times until I got it straight. So this is the non-bent one. So I'm just going to go through here. I'm on my knees on the hard floor here, so that's why I'm so bouncy. I know some people are really pissy about the camera work, but this is all handheld. I'm just going to go through here and kind of clean these threads up a little bit so that we don't have these get stuck in the bore. And somebody had that run down pretty tight. You don't ever want to do that because that screws it up and you'll enlarge those orifices and then you can't meter the fuel properly. So I've got this squeezed in the vise, and it's a little tight because these are collapsible dies, they're adjustables, but I think it'll be good. It's not cutting any new threads, it's just cutting the threads that are already there. So let's walk you over and I'll give you a side-by-side comparison of both of these as I fall on my face. Alright, so we're back over at the carburetor, and as you can see, those turn out pretty good. You can still see that one's got a touch of wobble in it, but it does thread all the way down now, and I just didn't think they'd bend that easily. I mean, I know they're softer metal, but I figured it'd snap off. So let's go ahead and see if we can get them back in here. I'm still not thrilled about this housing being broken, but I think more than anything it's just to protect those screws from getting bumped or moved out of adjustment. Now I'm not going to put the spring in right now, so I still haven't cleaned this section of the carburetor. So I can do this left-handed now. There we go. Sorry for the fingers in the camera here. I was paying attention to what I was doing here. I didn't want to thread in. And get you the best angle on the dangle here. So I'm just going to thread these in until they seat softly. We don't want to jam them in there or anything. And then we'll do a comparison. Okay, so that one's lightly seated. And then they still should be going down the same depth as far as the casting is concerned. Of course, now I can't do it on camera. Alright, I had to do that off camera. For some reason they are wanting to be in the specific bore that they came out of or something, I don't know. But we got them in there without stripping anything. So if you look there, those look pretty dang even now. The one on the right, it looks fatter, but they're not. It's just an optical illusion. So you can see if I kind of turn that a little bit. It's just how it looks on camera. So there's a shadow on this one. But those should be okay, and we'll put the springs back on so that they stay in adjustment. I don't know why they broke this side off, what they were doing, but it sure didn't do us any favors now, did it? But I've run out of time for tonight, so I've got to go run, and I'm not going to have any more time to do that because it's really getting dark outside. We're having lots of fun. Stay tuned for the next installment on tuning up the Eagle, where we hopefully will get the Eagle running better and idling, and it will have quite a bit more power as it's being a dog right now. But I can see why. If you looked at those gaskets on the video, I'll kind of show you here. These gaskets looked pretty swollen. I don't know how well that shows up, but these are significantly higher, 32nd of an inch right there in this space. So I think that all needs to be replaced. Clearly the needle and seat did. You saw how that looked. And I have confidence that this tune-up in this carburetor and all the other electronic stuff we did, the ignition stuff, is going to make a huge difference. I want to actually take this and put it in the car show, but I got to be able to drive it first. So stay tuned, and we're going to be coming back with some more content on this. If you like it, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up and the bell icon so that you get notifications when I'm posting stuff. Sometimes I have to post them in kind of a spurt. I'm really trying to get regular as to posting them on a single day each week, but I've just been so busy. This is Reaper signing off on another one.